Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Pucho. As you've noticed, I like to do my stuff like live. I don't even edit it, whatever. I like to be outside walking. Now that the weather's nice, when it's winter now, I'll be inside. But. Anyways, today in Conversations with Pucho, I would like to talk about this dream that I had, this out of body experience that I had called, I name it, the cabin house. I wrote every single detail and I might forget some details. So maybe I'll read that to you also. But for now, I'm just going to tell you what I remember of it. Because it was an ongoing out of body experience that happened like around 3 or 4 times. Basically, it starts like I'm floating in the air, like flying, you know, over the oceans and stuff. And I reach this island. And when I reach this island, it's like a tropical island, like it felt homey, you know. It felt to me like I was in this island before. And it was like the people were so friendly and like happy to see me. You know what I'm saying? They were friendly and happy to see me. And they're like, hey, hi. And I will go through like the neighborhoods and like salute, say hi to people. I would go through houses. The doors were all open and I could go into any house and like just go through the houses and end up through another house and through another house and another house. It felt really good, and it felt so real and it felt like I was so welcomed and I knew everybody. So anyways, I finally wind up going through the forest for some reason, and I'm floating through the forest, and from far away I see these gates, these tall gates, and well, behind the gates there's like a lake. And on the lake, there were all these mystical looking creatures that I've never seen ever. Like, they don't exist on this earth. It was like out of this earth creatures, right? And like they're like jumping over the lake, like dolphins doing stuff, and it was like almost like if it was colorful, like almost like dragon. Like a serpent, but it looked like a dragon at the same time. And it would like jump over the lake, like in an arc, and land on the other side. And it's a lot of them. And then all these other different smaller creatures, like floating around and jumping around from the lake, So I'm like, wow. So then when I look at the sky, there's a certain cloud on the middle of the lake. And then there's a rainbow over that cloud on the middle of the lake, so perfect, like somebody, like almost as if like it was a setting for a movie and somebody set it like that so it could look like that so perfectly. So on top of that cloud was this persona, this individual, and he's just laying on top of the cloud all comfortable, and he looks at me and he says, hey, come over here. Why don't you join us? And I'm behind the gate looking in, and there's a cabin. I noticed this wooden cabin house. It's like the wood is like round, like the whole trees. Like it wasn't like cut like flat. It was like rounded, like like rounded wood all over, like and it formed a cabin. And it was all natural, like oak, So out of nowhere, I'm looking, but the gate is locked and whatever. And I see the door open from the cabin, and this kid comes out of it. This child, he must have been like, I don't know, 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. And he looks at me and smiles and comes up to me and opens up the gate. And he tells me, come, follow me. So I follow him. And as I'm following him, I'm looking at the lake and all these creatures and the rainbow and all this stuff jumping all over the place, and this being in the cloud in the middle of the lake saying, like, looking at me. But now he's looking at me like he's upset, right? Like he's pissed off for some reason because I'm with the kid or something. So the kid takes me into the cabin and closes the door behind him. So when I go into the cabin with him, there's this other person, like I guess it's his father. Well, I'll find out it's his father in this out-of-body experience. And he looks at him and looks at me, and he's sitting on a table, and this wooden table, and on this wooden table, there's like this big round bowl. And in this big round bowl, it's like this fruits that I never seen before. It's like some round seeds, like the size of it's like round and red, like a little bit smaller than grapes, but close enough in size, you know, like, and more like egg shaped than round. And he's eating that with the child, and they sit down and they invite me to sit down. Then the child looks at me, and then he looks at his father, and he says, "Father." And then he says, "What?" And then the child asks him, "Father, do you think he's ready to eat from this fruit?" And his father looks at me, and he says, and then he looks at him, and he says, "No, he's not ready yet, but he could try one." And then I found it weird. I'm like, I'm not ready yet for what? Like, why is he saying if I'm not ready to have this fruit? And then why, if I'm not ready, why does he let me try one anyway? But just one. I'm not allowed to have more than one, just one. So I grabbed this small egg-shaped red thing, almost like a jelly bean, you know? And I eat it, and I put it in my mouth, and I start chewing on it. And the juices and everything coming out of it, it's so small, but it felt like I was drinking off a glass, like a 12-ounce glass. That's how much juice felt that was coming out of this little tiny egg-shaped, like a jelly bean type red fruit. It felt like I was drinking a glass of orange juice. And it tasted so juicy, and the taste was so exquisite. It was like a flavor that I never ever experienced before. It was like unbelievable. Like my whole body, I felt my soul, my spirit, my whole essence, like everything, my awareness, everything just boosted up, like if I leveled up like a video game, you know? It was amazing. So I had that one piece, that one little fruit, and then they tell the father tells me, "You see that being out there in the middle of the lake on the cloud, surrounded by the rainbow? Well, do not look at him, do not speak to him, do not get close to him, for he is evil. He is the true essence of evil." You know, and I'm like, what? But he don't look like it, and everything looks so nice, and there's a rainbow, and there's a beautiful lake, and all these exotic creatures jumping all around. But it's like, basically, he's telling me, don't be fooled by the appearance of the beauty, the magic with the rainbow and all that stuff. Stay away from that. So I'm over here like, okay. And then they walked me out to the gate, opened the gate so I could get out, and looks at me and tells me, both of them tell me, "You are welcome to come here anytime." So I was like so grateful and thankful, and I was like, okay. So I just started floating away, flying away, and you know, like next thing you know, like I'm coming back to my body, and I knew this. I don't know how, but I knew that it was my spirit, and it was coming back to my body. And then next thing you know, it was like it dropped right in my body, and it felt like I crashed into my body. This is the first time I felt like this out-of-body experience. Like I crashed into my spirit crashed into my body on the bed, and like I felt it, and I felt it at the same time I woke up, and at the same time I woke up, my body woke up. At the same time, the whole body is shaking, and my body is shaking because it's like if I fell from the sky and fell around the bed. You know, it was magical, the feeling. I don't know how many of you guys have had out of body experiences, but it's like, whoo, crazy, right? So after that, like the same thing happened to me like 3 or 4 times, where my spirit goes out and winds up flying into this tropical place, going through the forest, and then there's the cabin house with the gate, and they let me in, and I talk to them, and like, you know, I learn more about like this evil entity that's in the middle of the lake on top of a cloud surrounded by a rainbow with all these different magical beasts all over it, you know. But from that point, it wasn't ever clear anymore, you know. It's like my spirit wandered off, and like I would just come back home and like to my body and land on my body, same experience, but boom, like I just landed from the sky on the bed, and the bed is shaking and everything, like so amazing. But anyway, yeah, so that was one of my out of bodies experiences, and I call it the cabin in the house, the cabin in the woods, because that's exactly what it was. Thank you so much for joining me on this experience that I had at Conversations with Pucho. And please leave any comments you want, and you know, I will read them through. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and be blessed.